quiet parts get said out loud. I mean, I think that's been the theme for the last months as they've become more emboldened, as they become more frustrated with the fact that people aren't lining up to get a jab that is now offered. You see that, like I said, the Branch Covidians had already got their jab after they fell over each other to get it. And now what you're seeing is a lot of people that, again, never were going to take it. They call it vaccine hesitancy, but they were simply just not going to take it. It's not being hesitant. That's just making a decision. And whether you think that it's informed or not, that's not our problem. I'm not hesitant at all. I've just made the decision that I'm not going to take it. So what they say instead of, basically saying a lot of quiet parts out loud, and they're becoming more and more frustrated because there's not other people that are trying to get this jab. Let's listen to what a dickhead had to say on CNN. Let's see what he has to say.
The medical innovation to get back to living our normal lives in a matter of months. As law professor Shannon Spector argued at Smerconish.com this week, without a better carrot or a bigger stick, many Americans won't get vaccinated and we will suffer more death and dislocation.
Interesting. So he's quoting someone there who was talking about the carrot, which that was like the conspiracy for a while there, where I would use terms like that. We're talking about Sarah Gonzalez as well over at News of Why It Matters. She would always reference that when they would always dangle a carrot in front of you to get you to do whatever it is that they wanted you to do as it pertained to this virus, with this whole promise of something, right? So, hey, just get the jab, 15 days slow to spread. All of this stuff was just him dangling these carrots in front of you. And if you do what they say, of course, you return to normalcy, and then they keep moving the carrot back. So now what they're defining it as
innovation to get back to living our normal lives in a matter of months. Vaccinated and
this is coming from Shannon Spector. You can't kind of see it there, but the full quote is, but without a better carrot or bigger stick, which is interesting to word it that way, many Americans won't get vaccinated and we will suffer more death and dislocation. I've always thought that was a bizarre way to word it. Not necessarily the stick part. That's I think that means violent implications. They won't say that. You have people that are suggesting that this should be forced. This should be mandatory by way of the state when it comes to the virus. I think that has violent implications when they use terms like stick. But let's just assume that they did. And at minimum, we know that there's something that they want to do to hold out as some form of a threat, if you will, be it by way of a promise effectively or something. The idea is that you need to do what it is that they say, get the vaccine in this sense, or else, or else is essentially what they're saying. Now, so when I hear bigger stick, I hear like fucking force. That's what I hear, threats of violence, and stuff of that nature. These guys they're violent people that mask their authoritarianism by way of humanitarian efforts. That's what they do. What I mean by that is that the whole idea that they present is, well, we care about other people. We want people to live. We don't want people to die. Okay. Roger that. Now they say that. And then it's like, well, you need to do this, and that, which is like, okay, why do I need to? Like with the vaccine. This doesn't even make sense if you think about it. When they talk about deaths and dislocation from what? The virus? If you get the jab, if the jab is as effective as what they claim it to be, who would be dying aside from the people that are assuming the risk? I've yet to hear that question really answered, unless it's in a way that suggests that you can still pass the virus despite being vaccinated, which doesn't even make sense when you consider that why are you telling people to line up to get it? And more importantly, when you say that people need to get it in order for that us to return to some sort of normalcy, what the hell are you talking about then? Which one is it? What's the position? And it seems like it fluctuates, not only just depending on who you ask, but depending on if they want to force you to do something, then the position makes sense versus it doesn't. Bigger stick. Again, that has violent implications from what I hear, but I look at it as risk that are assumed by each and every individual. No matter where you're at on the vaccine thing, whether you're a guy that wants to get it, a guy that doesn't want to get it, you've got it, you haven't got it, it doesn't matter. The way I see it is, if the vaccine is working like you're telling me it works, meaning that it's this sort of it lessens the symptoms, and this is what people need to get in order to return to some sort of normalcy. The only people that would be assuming the risk and would be higher risk, obviously, at death and whatnot, are the people that don't get it, who have clearly assumed the risk. So if I, for example, don't have the vaccine and I go out and I get sick or something, which is what people, by the way, that happened back before COVID-19. It is what it is. That's a risk that I assumed. If I get severely ill, that's a risk that I assumed along with the other people. But if you're vaccinated, why are you worried about me? And this is why some of us are suggesting that you're in a cult and all you want is allegiance. You're demanding allegiance for it. And that's what this more so is about, is the fact that there aren't people lining up to do what it is that you want them to do, because what you're saying doesn't make sense. Your own knothead ass president has gotten his vaccine and he's still walking around in a mask and all, because it's about theater. When we see stuff like that and then you act as if we go line up to get the jab, then we can return to normalcy. No, we can return to normalcy right now. You just don't want to, because you don't see enough people that are pledging allegiance to your cult. That's why I say it's a cult, and it's more of it's a cling that's worse than religious. It doesn't even make sense, in a sense that you keep telling us one thing and your actions don't match up with that claim. As in, again, you're still walking around with your face covered in all sorts of things despite getting the vaccine. And then you say, well, you could potentially spread it. Then what's the point? If that's still the case, what's the point? It doesn't make sense. This is why it sounds like it's allegiance. It's control. It's I don't want to look, because I know the straw manners and the gaslighters act as if you don't fall over another person to try to get this vaccine lining up, then you are some type anti-science, or you're even vax, which is such a silly position that, again, if you hear that, you have no obligation to acknowledge that as if they're operating on truth, right? Like, you're looking at something with a 99% survival rate. Definitely with people in my health and age demographic. No, I don't think it's worth getting a jab. If I get it, I get it. It is what it is. I'd rather assume the risk with that. And it's highly likely that I will never go to the hospital and I will never get sick. It's highly unlikely that that's going to, it's highly likely that would be, that would happen, in terms of I'll probably be fine, as the vast majority of people that get it having not had the vaccine. But they act like your immune system isn't a thing, and of course you are you're a blasphemer, committing acts of blasphemy in the event that you're not lining up to get the jab. It's such a silly position. But as they ramp up more talks, it does seem like they're thinking more in terms of violence. Which, take that in whatever way that you may. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.